Every story has a voice. Every voice has a stage. And the magic of the stage, no matter what the shape, the size or the platform, is that it can belong to anyone. It is a place where every voice is given hope, optimism and encouragement, and where new paradigms of experiences can be created. A stage where no one fits in, but everyone belongs. Hello, and welcome to the Short and Sassy podcast with Simone. And today's topic, exceptionally sassy. We are stepping forward into a time where exceptionality will no longer be about difference, but about inclusion, when every person's gifts can make a difference. As a theatre director, I've had the pleasure of working with many differently abled performers, or exceptionals. For instance, when I directed Leigh Miserably, there was a young man on the spectrum who played one of the members of the gang. He would often become overwhelmed by the intense emotions of the music and the script, as well as the expectations of the performance, and would often walk out of the rehearsal as a way of distancing himself and creating some space from that overload. I quickly learned to check on him, making sure that he was okay and asking what could I do to make the process easier. He simply needed a quiet space. And so during the course of the rehearsals, we developed a way of working together that worked for everyone, including him. Now, while he was one of more than 45 people in that production, through his presence, he gifted everyone the choice to find ways to allow people who were different to feel connected and part of the tribe. His role was that of Brujon, the bear, which involved an action scene. And at the end, he would run off stage full tilt, full of fire and energy. Now, unbeknown to me, his cast members would stand guard backstage so that he didn't run into the theatre wall in his enthusiasm. At every performance, he brought the energy of a victory run as he ran off the stage with his fellow cast members silently cheering him on. And although unseen by the audience, it became a highlight of the show, because it was indeed a victory. He won the race to be included and appreciated in a world that often excludes people like him. Now, I was completely unaware of this particular highlight until one night, one of the cast said to me, "Simone, you've got to come and see this. It is just the best thing." And so that night I went backstage to watch. And it was one of the most magical and joyful things I've ever seen. The sense of camaraderie and looking out for each other that the cast brought to that young man meant that he knew he was recognised, appreciated, respected, and in fact valued for the difference that he brought. And in his willingness to go where he didn't naturally fit, he invited that entire company to expand their hearts and offer a totally unique experience of being inclusive of difference. It wasn't about being special. It was about the beauty of being without apology. It bonded everyone. In fact, if it hadn't been for him playing this role, no one would have had that amazing experience. This is the future of inclusivity on stage, on every stage, no matter what that stage looks like. It comes down to honouring the individual and working together as a team to create unique experiences for both the actors and the audiences. And when audiences sense this kind of inclusivity, it changes their reality. Now, you might be thinking, well, hey, that's a great story, but I'm not on stage and never likely to be, so this doesn't really apply to me. And you'd be mistaken. Shakespeare famously wrote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players." That's the stage I'm talking about, the stage of life. The world stage on which we all show up to play our parts and contribute to being the change we want to see in the world. And differently abled people are here to manifest that change through the celebration of their diversity and ensure inclusion in every aspect of life. When we end separation, everyone receives more. Exceptionality is a gift, a way of being able to interact with the world and make a difference simply by being who you are. We've been taught to exclude difference as if that will keep us safe or somehow make us achieve more. I'd like to think that exceptionals are the leaders of change and disruption in the world, that they can and will bring hope, possibility and joy to the mainstream through the power of their differences. It's time to turn up the volume. It's time to embrace all of our differences. Victor Hugo, who wrote the book on which the musical Les Miserably is based, said, "Music expresses that which cannot be put into words and that which cannot remain silent." The music of the soul is inclusivity, and we need all of the notes to bring ourselves and the world to a place of greater unity. To continue to create the work that is important to each of us, we each must live the truth that every note and every instrument belongs. We each have the power to lead a new story of inclusivity and exceptionality in the world. We can all end separation. We can end competition with each other. We can invite an even greater diversity of experience through our choices. Valuing the contribution of everyone brings exceptionality to every stage. Never underestimate the unique contribution you make. Never apologize for your differences. Never diminish your exceptionality. Being different is an honoring of your presence on this planet. When you acknowledge your gifts with humility, it brings a vulnerability that is irresistible. And through the authentic expression of your exceptionality, you will change the narrative of the world. You've been listening to the Short and Sassy podcast with Simone de Haas. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love you to subscribe. You can find me on Apple iTunes and Spotify, as well as at www.simonedehas.com/podcast. Thank you so much for listening.